Now, my beloved child, before you continue with the noise of this day, pause for a moment and let your heart become quiet. There is something I have been trying to show you, but your mind has been so occupied with questions, disappointment, and the need to understand everything that you have struggled to recognize my hand. You have wondered why certain people suddenly became distant. You have wondered why a place that once felt comfortable now leaves you feeling restless. You have wondered why opportunities that appeared promising disappeared, just when you thought they were finally becoming yours. And because you could not see the reason, you began questioning yourself. You asked whether you had done something wrong. You wondered whether you were too emotional, too cautious, too sensitive, or too difficult to understand. But my child, not every feeling of discomfort comes from weakness. Sometimes the uneasiness inside you is the gentle warning of my spirit, showing you that something around you is no longer aligned with the life I am building within you. You have been trying to remain peaceful inside places where your soul has been quietly losing its peace. You have been trying to preserve connections that require you to silence your own heart. You have been holding together situations that can survive only when you ignore what you already know. But I did not create you to live divided within yourself. I did not place truth inside you so that you would continually betray it to make others comfortable. I did not give you a voice so that fear could keep it hidden forever. There are moments when love asks you to remain patient. There are also moments when wisdom asks you to step away. There are seasons when faith means continuing. There are other seasons when faith means releasing what you can no longer carry without losing yourself. My beloved child, you have confused endurance with obedience for too long. You believed that leaving meant failing. You believed that setting a boundary meant you were becoming unkind. You believed that protecting your peace meant you were abandoning someone who needed you, so you stayed. You stayed in conversations that left you exhausted. You stayed inside relationships where your kindness was expected, but rarely returned. You stayed near people who praised your heart when they needed something, but questioned your character when you began saying no. You stayed because you wanted to believe that patience would eventually change everything. And sometimes patience does create room for healing. But patience without truth can become a prison. Forgiveness does not require you to remain available for repeated harm. Compassion does not mean ignoring patterns that continually destroy your peace. Love does not ask you to surrender the dignity I placed within you. My child, I have seen every time you minimized your own pain because you did not want to appear selfish. I have seen you excuse behavior that wounded you because you understood where the other person's pain came from. I have seen you continue giving after your heart had already become tired. I have seen you smile while something inside you quietly whispered that this was no longer safe. You thought no one noticed. But I noticed. I saw the conversations you replayed late at night. I saw the messages you read repeatedly, searching for a meaning that would hurt less. I saw the moments when you nearly spoke honestly, but fear convinced you that truth would cause everything to fall apart. And now I want you to understand something. Anything that can be preserved only through your silence is already unstable. Anything that requires you to abandon your God-given identity in order to remain accepted is not the place where I intend your soul to live. I am not asking you to become suspicious of everyone. I am not teaching you to close your heart. I am teaching you to recognize fruit. Words may sound beautiful, but fruit reveals what words are hiding. Promises may create hope, but consistent actions reveal whether those promises carry truth. Someone may say they care about you, but genuine care will not continually punish you for having needs. Someone may say they are protecting you, but true protection will not control every choice you make. Someone may say they want peace, But real peace does not demand that only one person remains silent. The wisdom that comes from me carries purity, mercy, patience, and truth together. It does not use kindness to conceal manipulation. It does not use guilt to create loyalty. It does not make you afraid to ask honest questions. It does not require confusion in order to maintain control. My beloved child, there are people who became comfortable with the version of you that never questioned them. They appreciated your generosity when it had no boundaries. They admired your loyalty when it required nothing from them. They celebrated your kindness when it allowed them to avoid responsibility. But when you began healing, something changed. You started noticing patterns. You began recognizing when affection appeared only after you tried to step away. You began hearing the pressure hidden inside seemingly gentle words. You began understanding that being needed is not always the same as being loved. And as your eyes opened, some people said, "You had changed." They were right. You have changed, but not in the way they meant. You are not becoming cold. You are becoming clear. You are not losing your ability to love. You are learning how to love without abandoning yourself. You are not becoming distant from everyone. You are moving closer to the truth. There was a time when the fear of losing people controlled your decisions. You accepted what hurt because separation seemed more frightening than suffering. You thought being alone would destroy you. But my child, loneliness inside the wrong connection can wound the heart more deeply than solitude ever could. There is a difference between being alone and being abandoned. You may walk through a quiet season, but I have not abandoned you. You may no longer hear the voices that once surrounded you, but my voice is becoming clearer. You may feel as though the familiar world around you is changing, but I am building a safer foundation beneath your feet. Do not rush to fill every empty space I create. Some spaces must remain quiet long enough for your soul to breathe again. Some departures must be grieved before new relationships can be received with wisdom. Some doors must stay closed long enough for you to stop standing outside them, begging to return to what I rescued you from. You have asked me to restore what was lost, but sometimes my answer is not restoration. Sometimes my answer is freedom. You wanted a person to return, but I wanted your peace to return. You wanted an opportunity to reopen, but I wanted your discernment to awaken. You wanted an explanation, but I wanted you to become strong enough to move forward without receiving one. My child, closure does not always arrive through a final conversation. Sometimes closure arrives when you finally accept the pattern you kept trying to explain away. Sometimes closure comes when you stop waiting for someone to become the person they repeatedly promised to be. Sometimes closure begins when you no longer need another person's confession to validate what you experienced. I know what happened. I know what was said. I know what was hidden. I know what you sensed before you possessed the language to describe it, and I know the pain of questioning your own perception because someone continually told you that what you felt was not real. But I am restoring your ability to trust the wisdom I am developing inside you. This does not mean every fear is a warning. It does not mean every uncomfortable moment is a command to leave. Discernment requires prayer, patience, honesty, and humility. Fear reacts quickly. Wisdom becomes still before me. Fear imagines the worst. Wisdom examines the fruit. Fear pushes you toward panic. My guidance leads you toward clarity, even when the truth is painful. Bring every situation into my presence. Do not decide only from emotion. Do not remain only from fear. Ask whether this connection helps you become more truthful, more peaceful, more compassionate, and more faithful. Ask whether you can speak honestly without being punished. Ask whether your boundaries are respected. Ask whether responsibility is shared or continually placed upon you. Ask whether the relationship produces freedom or dependency. My child, you do not need to judge another person's entire heart in order to acknowledge that a pattern is harming you. You do not need to call someone evil in order to admit that remaining close is no longer wise. You can forgive and still create distance. You can release bitterness without reopening the door. You can pray for someone and still refuse to return to the cycle that wounded you. This is not revenge. This is stewardship. Your heart belongs to me. Your peace is not something you should continually sacrifice to prove that your love is real. I am teaching you to guard what I have entrusted to you, not with walls made of bitterness, not with pride, not with the belief that no one can ever be trusted again. I am teaching you to guard your heart with wisdom while keeping it tender in my presence. There will be people who misunderstand this new strength. They may accuse you of becoming selfish because you no longer carry responsibilities that belong to them. They may call you distant because you no longer answer every demand immediately. They may say you have changed because the old methods no longer control your decisions. Do not become cruel. Do not answer every accusation. Do not spend your strength explaining freedom to those who benefited from your captivity. Let your life reveal the fruit of what I am doing. Your peace will speak. Your consistency will speak. Your healing will speak. Your refusal to return to old chaos will speak. My beloved child, I am not leading you away from love. I am leading you away from confusion disguised as love. I am not taking you into isolation. I am preparing you for connections where honesty does not threaten belonging. I am not closing your heart. I am healing it so that the next person does not have to suffer for what the previous person did. This process may feel lonely at first. You may miss what was familiar, even when familiar was painful. You may remember the beautiful moments and question whether leaving was truly necessary. That is natural. The existence of good memories does not erase unhealthy patterns. Someone can have good qualities and still be unable to walk with you into the next season. A place can once have served a purpose and still become too small for the person you are becoming. Honor what was good. Learn from what was painful, then continue walking. You are not required to hate the past in order to leave it behind. You are simply required to stop allowing it to direct your future. My child, the door behind you may be closing, but you are not standing before emptiness. You are standing before a space I have not yet filled. Do not interpret the unfinished appearance of your future as evidence that I have no plan. A field looks empty before the seed rises. The sky appears darkest before morning becomes visible. A new chapter often begins before you understand what the story is becoming. Trust me in the space between what ended and what has not yet begun. I am there. I am in the silence. I am in the unanswered questions. I am in the slow rebuilding of your confidence. I am in every moment when you choose peace instead of returning to what is familiar. My beloved child, this separation is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of your return to truth. Stay close to me. There is more I must show you about why this season became necessary, what I have been removing from your heart, and how the place that felt like rejection will become the ground where your freedom begins. My beloved child, there is another truth I want you to understand, because if you do not understand it, you may mistake my protection for punishment. There are moments when I remove you from places you desperately wanted to remain. There are times when I allow a door to close while you are still praying for it to stay open. There are seasons when you feel as though everything familiar is slipping away at once, leaving you standing in a place you never wanted to be. Your first thought is often that something has gone wrong. You wonder whether you have disappointed me. You question whether your faith has become too weak. You replay every decision, searching for the exact moment where you believe you failed. But my child, not every closed door is a consequence. Many closed doors are an invitation. An invitation to walk towards something you would never have discovered if everything had remained comfortable. Comfort has its place, but comfort is not your destination. There are seasons when comfort becomes a wall that quietly keeps you from becoming who I created you to be. You begin accepting less because it feels familiar. You stop expecting growth because stability seems safer. You slowly adapt to a life that no longer requires faith. Then one day I begin stirring your spirit. Nothing around you may appear different, yet something inside refuses to settle. The conversations no longer satisfy you. The places that once inspired you now leave your soul strangely empty. You cannot explain it. Others around you seem perfectly content. They ask why you are changing. They tell you to stop overthinking. They encourage you to stay where everything feels predictable. But they cannot hear what I am whispering inside your heart. There are callings that begin as quiet discomfort before they become clear direction. The world often teaches you to ignore that discomfort. It tells you to silence it, to distract yourself, to become busier, to settle for less. But I speak through peace, and sometimes I speak through the absence of peace, not to frighten you, not to confuse you, but to awaken you before your soul becomes trapped inside something that slowly steals your joy. Remember how I led my people through the wilderness? From the outside, the wilderness appeared empty. It seemed like wasted time. There were moments when they wished they could return to Egypt simply because slavery had become familiar. Freedom felt uncertain. The future seemed invisible. The past suddenly appeared easier than it truly was. How often do you do the same? You remember only the pleasant moments of what I asked you to leave. You forget the nights you cried. You forget the anxiety you carried. You forget how often you prayed for change. You forget the exhaustion that brought you to your knees, asking me to rescue you. Then, when rescue finally begins, you become afraid because rescue rarely looks the way you imagined. You expected me to transform every difficult situation. Sometimes I transform you instead. You wanted me to change another person's heart. Instead, I strengthened your courage. You wanted immediate answers. Instead, I developed deeper trust. You wanted certainty. Instead, I gave you my presence, because my presence is stronger than certainty. If you always knew every step ahead, you would learn to trust the path more than the one leading you. But I desire something deeper. I desire your confidence to rest in me. Not in circumstances, not in predictable outcomes, not in human approval, not even in your own understanding. There will always be moments when the road ahead is hidden. Faith was never meant to eliminate mystery. Faith teaches you to walk faithfully even while mystery remains. My beloved child, there are things I cannot build within a heart that refuses to move. Humility grows when you release control. Courage grows when you keep walking despite uncertainty. Wisdom grows when you stop demanding immediate explanations. Peace grows when you discover that my presence is enough even before your questions are answered. Many people spend years waiting for certainty before taking one step of obedience. Yet obedience often creates the certainty they were waiting for. You are asking me to reveal the entire future. I am asking you to trust today's instruction. One faithful step, then another, then another. The path becomes clearer as you continue walking. Do not despise small beginnings. Do not underestimate quiet obedience. Not every miracle begins with thunder. Many miracles begin with a simple decision to stop returning to what continually wounded your spirit. Many breakthroughs begin when you finally stop arguing with the conviction I placed inside you. You have spent too much energy trying to convince yourself that everything is fine. Deep inside, you already know what continually drains your peace. You know which conversations always leave you discouraged. You know which habits pull your heart farther from my presence. You know which voices create confusion instead of clarity. Still you hesitate, not because you cannot recognize them, but because letting go feels costly. Yes, it is costly. Growth always requires leaving something behind. The seed cannot become the harvest while remaining unchanged. The butterfly cannot keep the cocoon forever. Morning cannot arrive while night refuses to release its place. Every season carries an ending before it reveals a beginning. Do not fear endings that I have ordained. Not every ending is loss. Some endings are liberation. Some endings are preparation. Some endings are my kindness removing burdens you were never meant to carry for the rest of your life. My beloved child, I also know your heart fears making mistakes. You worry that if you choose wrongly, everything will collapse. You imagine one wrong decision destroying the future I prepared. But listen carefully. Your future is not so fragile that one sincere mistake can destroy my purpose. If your heart seeks me honestly, I am able to redirect your steps. I am able to interrupt wrong paths. I am able to close doors you should never enter. I am able to restore time you believe has been wasted. Do not give fear more authority than my grace. Fear says one mistake defines everything. Grace says, I am still writing your story. Fear says you have ruined your opportunity. Grace says, my mercy creates new beginnings. Fear tells you that you are behind everyone else. Grace reminds you that every life unfolds according to my timing. Stop measuring your journey against someone else's timeline. Some people bloom early, others develop deeper roots before fruit appears. Neither process is inferior. What matters is remaining connected to me. The vine does not compete with another vine. Each branch simply receives life from its source. Remain in me, not because remaining is always easy, but because apart from me, even success eventually becomes empty. I have not called you merely to accomplish things. I have called you to become someone whose life reflects my peace. The world celebrates achievement. Heaven celebrates transformation. Many people gain influence while losing themselves. Many gain recognition while sacrificing their peace. Many obtain everything they once desired only to discover that their souls remain restless. Do not chase success that costs you intimacy with me. The greatest blessing I can give you is not endless comfort. It is my nearness. When my presence becomes your greatest treasure, circumstances lose their power to control your joy. Then whether you stand on the mountain or walk through the valley, your identity remains secure. Whether people applaud you or misunderstand you, your heart remains anchored. Whether opportunities increase or decrease, your confidence no longer rises and falls with them. Because your foundation has changed. You are no longer standing on shifting sand. You are standing upon my faithfulness. There will still be storms. There will still be delays. There will still be seasons when answers seem slow. But storms cannot remove what I have firmly established. Do not confuse temporary shaking with permanent destruction. Sometimes I shake what cannot remain, so that what truly belongs may stand stronger than before. When a builder discovers weakness in a foundation, wisdom repairs it before adding another floor. In the same way, I refuse to build greater responsibility upon unstable ground. If I seem to slow your progress, it is because I care more about your future than your impatience. You ask me for increase. I first prepare your character. You ask me for influence. I strengthen your integrity. You ask me for open doors. I deepen your discernment, because what I give you must also be sustained. I do not want blessings that become burdens, because your foundation was never prepared to carry them. My child, trust my timing, trust my preparation, trust even the seasons that appear quiet. Roots grow in silence before branches reach toward the sky. The deepest work I am doing inside you is often invisible to everyone else. One day people will call your growth sudden. They will admire your peace. They will notice your confidence. They will wonder how you became so steady. They will not see the hidden seasons when I patiently healed your wounds, corrected your thinking, restored your hope, and taught your heart to rest in me. But you will know. You will remember the nights when all you could do was pray. You will remember the mornings when hope felt difficult. You will remember choosing faith when nothing around you seemed to change. And you will realize that those quiet moments were never wasted. They became the foundation upon which I built the next chapter of your life. So do not rush this season. Walk slowly enough to hear my voice. Listen carefully before making decisions. Remain faithful in small things. Continue choosing truth over convenience. Continue choosing peace over panic. Continue choosing obedience over fear, for the path before you is becoming clearer with every step you take beside me. I have not abandoned you in this transition. I am leading you into the life your soul has been longing for long, before you even knew how to ask for it. My beloved child, there is something I want to heal within you that has remained hidden for far too long. It is not only the disappointment you experienced, it is not only the betrayal you endured. It is the quiet belief those moments planted inside your heart. Little by little, you began believing that if you expected less, you would hurt less. You convinced yourself that staying unnoticed was safer than risking rejection. You learned to celebrate only small dreams because larger hopes seemed too dangerous. You called it wisdom, but it was fear wearing the clothes of wisdom. Fear always asks you to shrink. My love always calls you to grow. I never asked you to become invisible. I never intended for you to spend your life apologizing for the gifts I placed inside you. The light I gave you was never meant to be hidden beneath the opinions of those who could not understand it. Yet somewhere along the journey, you began measuring your value by the reactions of people instead of the truth I had already spoken over your life. When someone praised you, your confidence grew. When someone ignored you, your confidence disappeared. When doors opened, you believed you were worthy. When doors closed, you questioned your identity. But my beloved child, your identity has never depended upon human acceptance. Before anyone knew your name, I knew it. Before anyone celebrated you, I called you. Before anyone rejected you, I chose you. Nothing that happens around you can erase what I have already spoken over you. You spend too much time asking people to confirm what I have already declared. You seek permission to become who I created you to be. But I am reminding you today that your calling does not begin with human agreement. It begins with my voice. There will always be people who misunderstand what they cannot see. There will always be those who judge your motives because they cannot perceive your heart. Do not spend your strength trying to convince every person that you are sincere. Not every misunderstanding needs correction. Some misunderstandings become the very place where I teach you to rest in my approval instead of theirs. You have carried the burden of explaining yourself for too long. You have tried to answer every accusation. You have tried to defend every decision. You have exhausted yourself proving that your heart is good. But my child, even Jesus was misunderstood. truth was questioned, love was rejected, kindness was mocked. If perfect love was misunderstood, why are you surprised when your own life is sometimes interpreted unfairly? This is not permission to ignore correction. Remain humble, remain teachable. Listen carefully when wisdom speaks, but do not confuse every criticism with my voice. Not every opinion carries authority over your life. Learn to distinguish between conviction and condemnation. Conviction draws you closer to me. Condemnation pushes you away from hope. Conviction reveals truth while offering grace. Condemnation reminds you only of failure. My spirit never speaks to destroy your identity. I speak to restore it. When I reveal an area that needs healing, it is because I already see the person you are becoming. I do not expose your weakness to shame you. I reveal it so I can strengthen you. There are hidden fears inside your heart that you have carried since long before this season. Some began during childhood. Some were born from rejection. Some came from words spoken carelessly by people who never realized how deeply they wounded you. Those voices became part of the way you viewed yourself. You stopped seeing yourself through my eyes. Instead, you began seeing yourself through old pain. Every new opportunity reminded you of past disappointment. Every new relationship was compared to previous betrayal. Every delay became evidence that perhaps you were forgotten. But my child, I am restoring your vision. You cannot walk confidently toward your future while continually looking through the lens of yesterday's wounds. Healing is not pretending the past never happened. Healing is refusing to allow the past to define the future. There are memories that still bring tears. That does not mean you have failed. Healing is often gentle. Sometimes it happens so quietly that you notice it only when you realize something no longer hurts the way it once did. You suddenly hear a name that once caused anxiety, and your heart remains calm. You remember a painful season without becoming trapped inside it again. You speak about your past without allowing it to become your identity. That is my work inside you. Do not rush it. Do not become discouraged because you still have moments of weakness. Even trees continue growing long after they appear strong. Growth is not instant, neither is restoration. Every day you choose forgiveness instead of bitterness. Healing grows deeper. Every day you choose truth instead of fear. New roots develop beneath the surface. Every day you bring your heart back into my presence instead of hiding from me. Your soul becomes stronger. You often expect transformation to happen all at once, but I frequently work one layer at a time. I remove fear, then pride, then insecurity, then dependence upon human approval, then hidden resentment. Each layer reveals another place where my love desires to enter. Do not become impatient with this process. The builder who rushes the foundation eventually watches the house collapse. I am not interested in temporary change. I am establishing lasting freedom. My beloved child, there are dreams you quietly buried because disappointment convinced you they would never happen. You stopped praying certain prayers. You stopped expecting certain miracles. You accepted survival when I had prepared abundance. Not abundance only in material things, but abundance of peace, abundance of hope, abundance of purpose, abundance of joy. The enemy does not always need to destroy your faith. Sometimes he simply convinces you to stop expecting anything beautiful. But hope is still alive, not because circumstances guarantee success. Hope lives because I remain faithful. I have not forgotten the promises I placed within your heart. Some dreams required more preparation than you realized. Some blessings needed deeper character before they could safely arrive. Some prayers seemed delayed because I was protecting both the gift and the person receiving it. Do not measure my faithfulness by the speed of visible results. Many of my greatest works begin long before your eyes can recognize them. While you were waiting, I was preparing. While you felt forgotten, I was arranging. While you believed nothing was happening, I was quietly aligning people, opportunities, timing, and circumstances beyond your ability to imagine. My timing often feels slow because you can see only today. I see generations. You ask for immediate relief. I prepare eternal fruit. You ask me to remove every difficulty. Sometimes I use difficulty to reveal strength you never knew you possessed. Gold becomes more beautiful through refinement. A sword becomes stronger through fire. Character becomes trustworthy through perseverance. I know you would choose an easier road. Most people would. But the easiest road rarely creates the deepest wisdom. I am shaping more than your comfort. I am shaping your heart. One day you will stand where I have called you to stand. People will see the peace upon your life. They will admire the confidence with which you speak. They will notice the stability that surrounds you. They will assume it came naturally. Only you and I will remember the hidden nights that created it. The prayers whispered through tears. The lonely seasons when no one else understood. The mornings you chose faith before feelings. The countless moments when you almost gave up but decided to trust me one more day. Those moments were not forgotten. Not one prayer disappeared. Not one tear was wasted. Not one act of obedience escaped my attention. I collect what the world overlooks. I remember what others forget. I honor faithfulness that no audience ever applauds. Continue being faithful even when no one notices. Continue choosing integrity when compromise appears easier. Continue speaking truth with gentleness. Continue walking humbly. Do not become discouraged because recognition seems delayed. The fruit growing beneath the soil is still growing even when no one can yet see it. Your hidden season is preparing your visible season, and when the time arrives, no one will be able to deny what my hand has accomplished. Not because you became perfect, but because my grace remained faithful. So rest your heart today. Stop measuring yourself by unfinished chapters. Stop judging your future by temporary seasons. Stop believing that delays mean abandonment. You are still in my hands. You are still under my care. You are still moving toward the purpose I prepared before you ever took your first breath. Keep walking with me. The story is not ending here. It is only becoming stronger. My beloved child, there are moments when I intentionally slow your journey, not because I have forgotten you, but because I refuse to allow you to arrive somewhere before your heart is ready to remain there. You often ask me to move faster. You ask why others seem to advance while you continue waiting. You compare your season with theirs and quietly wonder if I love them more than I love you. But my child, comparison has stolen too much of your peace. You were never called to walk another person's path. I have written a story that belongs only to you. The timing that is perfect for someone else may not be the timing that prepares you for the purpose I have entrusted to your life. Do not measure my faithfulness by someone else's progress. The gardener does not become impatient because one tree bears fruit before another. Each tree grows according to its design. Each season has its own purpose. Each root system develops at its own pace. What matters is not who blooms first. What matters is who remains rooted. Remain rooted in me, for when the winds begin to blow, shallow roots cannot hold what deep roots can easily withstand. I know waiting has been difficult for you. Waiting has a way of exposing what still lives inside the heart. It reveals hidden fears. It reveals impatience. It reveals where your confidence has quietly attached itself to outcomes instead of my promises. Yet waiting is not empty. Waiting is one of the greatest classrooms of faith. In waiting, I teach you to recognize my voice above the noise of urgency. In waiting, I strengthen the muscles of trust. In waiting, I remove the desire to control every detail of tomorrow. You often believe that movement always means progress. But there are times when remaining still before me accomplishes more than months of frantic effort. Many people run because they are afraid to stop. They fear silence because silence reveals what busyness has been hiding. But I am inviting you into a different rhythm, a rhythm where peace becomes more valuable than speed, a rhythm where obedience matters more than appearance, a rhythm where my direction carries greater weight than your own understanding. My beloved child, you have prayed for open doors, but have you also prayed for the wisdom to recognize the wrong ones? Not every opportunity is my invitation. Some opportunities appeal to your ambition, but quietly weaken your soul. Some relationships promise excitement, but slowly drain your peace. Some paths appear successful from a distance, but lead farther away from the purpose I designed for you. This is why discernment is more valuable than opportunity. Without discernment, even blessings can become distractions. Ask me not only for favor, ask me for wisdom. Not only for increase, ask me for discernment. Not only for success, ask me for a heart that remains faithful when success finally comes. Because success without character becomes another form of captivity. I care more about who you become than what you accomplish. One day, your influence will grow. One day, more people will hear your voice. One day, greater responsibility will rest upon your shoulders. When that day comes, your character must be able to carry what your gift attracts. Talent may open the door. Character determines whether you remain inside. That is why I continue working in hidden places. I correct attitudes no one else can see. I heal insecurities that even you struggle to recognize. I gently remove pride before it has the opportunity to destroy what I am building. I teach humility before elevation. I teach surrender before promotion. I teach faithfulness before visibility, because hidden preparation always protects visible purpose. Do not despise the ordinary days. Some of your greatest spiritual victories happen when nothing dramatic seems to occur. When you choose kindness after being misunderstood, when you forgive without receiving an apology, when you remain honest although dishonesty appears easier, when you continue praying even though answers seem delayed, when you worship while circumstances remain unchanged. Heaven notices those moments. The world celebrates dramatic achievements. I celebrate faithful hearts. I see the quiet obedience that no one applauds. I see the discipline that no one recognizes. I see the decisions you make when no audience is watching. Nothing escapes my attention. Every act of faith becomes another stone in the foundation I am building beneath your life. My beloved child, stop believing that your usefulness begins only after everything is perfect. You tell yourself that once you become stronger, then you will serve. Once your heart is completely healed, then you will encourage others. Once every fear disappears, then you will fully obey. But perfection has never been the requirement. Availability has always been. I called imperfect people throughout history. Not because I ignored their weakness, because I knew my strength would shine through surrendered hearts. Do not wait until you feel completely fearless. Walk with me today. Do not wait until every question has an answer. Trust me today. Do not wait until confidence feels effortless. Take the next faithful step today. Faith is rarely loud. Often, it is simply choosing obedience while your emotions are still catching up. You have been asking me for confidence. Real confidence is not believing you can control everything. Real confidence is believing that I remain faithful even when you cannot control anything. There is a peace that comes when you finally stop carrying responsibilities that belong to me. You have tried to carry tomorrow. You have tried to carry other people's choices. You have tried to carry outcomes that no human heart was designed to control. Release them. You are responsible for obedience. I am responsible for the outcome. You are responsible for faithfulness. I am responsible for fulfillment. You are responsible for planting. I am responsible for growth. Do not exchange places with me. Whenever you attempt to control what belongs in my hands, anxiety becomes your companion. But when you surrender what was never yours to carry, peace quietly returns. My child, you do not need to know every detail of the road ahead. You only need enough light for today's step. I have never promised to reveal the entire journey at once. If I did, fear might overwhelm you before grace had time to prepare you. Instead, I provide what you need for this moment. Then when tomorrow becomes today, I provide again. This is how daily dependence grows. Do not mistake daily dependence for weakness. It is one of the greatest expressions of spiritual maturity. The strongest believers are not those who claim they need nothing. They are those who continually return to me because they understand where true strength comes from. Remain close to my presence. Not only when life becomes difficult, remain close when life becomes beautiful as well. Prosperity can distract just as easily as adversity. Success can quietly replace dependence if your heart is not anchored in me. Never allow blessings to become more important than the one who gave them. Keep your eyes on me. Celebrate every gift with gratitude. Hold every blessing with open hands. Remember that everything good flows from my love. My beloved child, I know there are still unanswered prayers. There are dreams you continue placing before me. There are burdens you secretly carry, even after all this time. Do not lose heart. Just because you cannot yet see my answer does not mean I have stopped working. There are conversations taking place beyond your understanding. There are hearts I am preparing. There are circumstances quietly aligning. There are delays that are protecting you from unnecessary sorrow. Trust what you cannot yet see. Walk by faith rather than by immediate evidence. One day you will look back and recognize how perfectly my timing unfolded. You will understand why certain prayers required patience. You will see why some relationships had to end. You will recognize why some opportunities disappeared before reaching your hands. You will realize that what once felt like disappointment was actually divine direction, and your heart will rest, not because every question received an explanation, but because you will know beyond every doubt that I never left your side. I was guiding every step, even the ones you believed you walked alone. So continue forward, my beloved child, not in fear, not in hurry, not in comparison. Walk with quiet confidence. Walk with steady faith. Walk with the peace that comes from knowing your life is held securely within my hands. The road ahead is not uncertain to me, and because I know the end from the beginning, you can safely trust the one who walks beside you every single step. My beloved child, there is one burden I want you to place into my hands today because you have carried it far longer than I ever intended. It is the burden of trying to control what only I can control. You have carried the weight of other people's decisions. You have tried to predict every possible outcome. You have replayed conversations that already ended. You have imagined countless futures, hoping that if you prepared yourself for every possibility, you would never be hurt again. But my child, your mind was never created to become a prison filled with endless possibilities. It was created to become a place where my peace could dwell. I know there are moments when fear disguises itself as responsibility. You tell yourself that you are simply being careful. You believe you are preparing wisely, but if preparation steals your peace instead of strengthening your faith, it has become something I never asked you to carry. I never called you to anticipate every storm. I called you to remain close to the shepherd who already sees every storm before it forms on the horizon. Look at the birds of the air. They do not know exactly where tomorrow's provision will appear, yet every morning they continue to sing. Not because they understand everything, but because they live inside my care. How much more valuable are you than they are? Why then do you continue living as though everything depends upon your own strength? My beloved child, you have spent many nights trying to solve tomorrow while forgetting that I have already entered your tomorrow before you arrived there. Nothing waiting ahead has surprised me. No conversation, no challenge, no opportunity, no disappointment. I have already walked into every moment that you are still afraid to face. You often ask me to remove uncertainty. Instead, I invite you to discover my faithfulness inside uncertainty. Because if certainty became the foundation of your peace, then your peace would disappear every time life became unpredictable. But if my presence becomes your foundation, then even uncertain seasons cannot steal what I have planted inside you. There is a difference between caution and fear. Wisdom prepares. Fear obsesses. Wisdom listens. Fear imagines. Wisdom acts when I speak. Fear reacts before I have finished speaking. My child, I am teaching you a quieter way to live. A life that is no longer driven by panic. A heart that no longer mistakes urgency for importance. Not everything demanding your attention deserves your attention. Not every invitation deserves your yes. Not every opinion deserves your response. Not every battle deserves your energy. Some battles belong entirely to me. You have exhausted yourself fighting wars that were never assigned to you. You have defended yourself against accusations I never asked you to answer. You have chased peace in places where peace could never be found. Now, I am calling you back into my presence, back into simplicity, back into trust. You do not have to earn my protection. You do not have to convince me to care about you. You do not have to remind me of every detail of your situation as though I have forgotten. I know. I have always known. Before the first tear fell from your eyes, I already understood its reason. Before the first disappointment entered your heart, I already prepared enough grace to carry you through it. Nothing about your life has escaped my attention. Even the prayers you never spoke aloud reached me. Even the tears you wiped away before anyone noticed were counted. Even the silent cries hidden behind your smile were heard. Never believe that silence means I am absent. Many of my greatest works happen where human eyes cannot yet recognize them. Think about a seed. The world sees only the soil. Nothing appears to be happening. Days pass, weeks pass, sometimes even months. But beneath the surface, life is quietly unfolding. Roots are spreading. Strength is developing. Preparation is taking place. If someone judged only by appearances, they would believe nothing was happening. Yet, everything necessary for future growth is already underway. So it is with you. You have judged your season by what you cannot see. You have assumed delay means inactivity. But I have been working beneath the surface of your life every single day. I have been changing conversations you have not yet heard, opening hearts you have not yet met, closing paths that would have led to sorrow, preparing blessings that require perfect timing. Do not become discouraged simply because my work is invisible. Invisible does not mean absent. Hidden does not mean forgotten. Quiet does not mean powerless. My child, there is another lesson I want your heart to learn. Stop fearing empty seasons. You often believe that if nothing exciting is happening, then your life must be standing still. But quiet seasons protect you from becoming addicted to constant activity. Without quiet, you cannot hear my whisper. Without stillness, you cannot recognize my direction. Without rest, you begin believing that your worth depends upon how much you accomplish. Your worth has never been measured by productivity. Your identity has never depended upon achievement. You are loved before you accomplish anything. You are mine before anyone applauds you. You belong to me whether your hands are full or whether they are resting quietly in prayer. Never allow the world to teach you that constant busyness is the same as fruitfulness. Fruit grows naturally from healthy roots. It cannot be forced. Neither can spiritual maturity. Some of the greatest growth in your life will happen while everything around you appears ordinary. A quiet morning spent with me may strengthen your future more than months of hurried striving. One honest prayer may redirect an entire season. One act of forgiveness may release years of hidden bitterness. One decision to obey me can change the direction of generations that come after you. Never underestimate small acts of faith. Heaven does not measure significance the way the world does. The world notices crowds. I notice surrender. The world celebrates influence. I celebrate obedience. The world admires visible success. I delight in faithful hearts. My beloved child, remember this whenever you begin questioning whether your life matters. You do not have to become famous to fulfill your purpose. You do not have to stand before thousands for your life to carry eternal value. Sometimes the greatest ministry is loving one person faithfully. Sometimes the greatest testimony is remaining kind after suffering. Sometimes the greatest miracle is allowing me to restore a heart that believed it would never trust again. Do not overlook the holy work happening inside you. I am rebuilding places that fear once occupied. I am replacing anxiety with confidence. I am exchanging shame for dignity. I am teaching your heart to rest instead of constantly proving itself. This work cannot be measured by numbers. It cannot always be celebrated publicly. But heaven rejoices every time another chain quietly falls from your soul. Every time you choose forgiveness over resentment. Every time you return to me instead of running toward old habits. Every time you trust my voice above the noise around you. The enemy wants you to believe nothing has changed. I want you to look again. You no longer react the way you once did. You no longer chase approval with the same desperation. You no longer remain where peace continually disappears. You are changing, not because you became stronger by yourself, because my spirit has been renewing your mind day after day. Continue allowing me to finish this work. Do not return to old patterns simply because they are familiar. Do not lower yourself to fit inside places I have already called you beyond. Walk forward. Walk gently. Walk patiently. Walk with confidence that my hand is still upon your life. My beloved child, there will come a day when you look back upon this season and realize that what once felt like delay was actually protection. What once appeared to be silence was preparation. What once seemed like loss became the doorway to freedom. On that day, your heart will no longer ask, "Why did this happen?" Instead, it will quietly whisper, "Thank you, Father. You knew exactly what I could not see. You protected me even when I misunderstood your ways. You remained faithful when I questioned everything, and you never stopped leading me toward the life you had prepared from the very beginning." Rest now, my beloved. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not walking alone. I am still guiding every step, and the best chapters of your journey are still ahead. My beloved child, as you come to the end of this message, I do not want you to remember only the words you have heard. I want you to remember the one who has been speaking to your heart from the very beginning. Long after this moment passes, my voice will still remain with you. When the room becomes quiet again, when the responsibilities of tomorrow return, when doubts attempt to whisper that nothing has changed, remember this: I have not stopped walking beside you. I never asked you to carry your future alone. I never expected you to understand every chapter before you lived it. I simply asked you to trust me one step at a time. There will still be mornings when your faith feels small. There will still be nights when questions return. There will still be moments when you cannot immediately recognize my hand. Do not allow those moments to convince you that I have abandoned you. Faith is not the absence of questions. Faith is choosing to continue walking even while the answers are still unfolding. My beloved child, the person who first began listening to this message is already changing. Perhaps not in a way that everyone else can see today, but something inside you has become quieter. Something inside you has become stronger. Something inside you has begun releasing the weight you were never created to carry. That is my work. Continue allowing me to finish what I have started. Do not return to the places where I have already brought you out. Do not rebuild the chains I have already broken. Do not reopen the doors I lovingly closed for your protection. Instead, keep your eyes upon me. There will always be voices competing for your attention. Some will invite you back into fear. Some will tempt you to return to old habits. Some will encourage you to compromise your peace for temporary acceptance. But my voice will always lead you toward truth. My voice will always lead you toward freedom. My voice will always lead you toward life. Stay close enough to recognize it. Spend time with me before you spend time with the world's opinions. Let my word become louder than your worries. Let prayer become more familiar than panic. Let gratitude replace constant striving. When you make me your first place, everything else begins finding its proper place. Do not fear the unknown road ahead. I have already gone before you. I know every person you will meet. I know every opportunity that is preparing to appear. I know every obstacle before it rises. Nothing waiting in your future is greater than the grace I have already prepared for you. You may not feel ready. That is all right. You do not have to be ready for everything. You only need to remain willing to walk with me. I will provide strength for each new season when that season arrives. I will provide wisdom when decisions must be made. I will provide peace when circumstances become uncertain. I will provide courage when fear attempts to return. My grace has never failed you. It will not begin failing you now, so release what belongs to yesterday. Forgive where forgiveness is needed. Learn from every season without becoming imprisoned by it. Honor what helped you grow. Release what can no longer accompany you. Walk forward without bitterness. Walk forward without regret. Walk forward knowing that every step surrendered to me is never wasted. One day you will look back at this season with different eyes. You will no longer see only the pain. You will see the protection. You will no longer remember only the delay. You will recognize the preparation. You will no longer focus on the doors that closed. You will celebrate the path that opened because those doors remained shut. Then your heart will understand what it could not understand today. You will realize that my plans were always greater than your fears. My timing was always wiser than your impatience. My love was always working, even during the moments when you believed heaven had become silent. My beloved child, lift your head, take a deep breath. Do not be afraid of tomorrow. tomorrow already belongs to me. The same hand that carried you through every yesterday is the same hand holding every tomorrow. Nothing can separate you from my love. Nothing can erase my promises. Nothing can cancel the purpose I have prepared for your life, as long as you continue walking with me. So rise with confidence. Walk in peace, live with courage, love without fear, forgive without bitterness, trust without hesitation. For I am your shepherd. I am your refuge. I am your strength. I am your peace. I am your beginning, and I will also be your end. Wherever you go, my presence will go before you. Whenever you grow weary, my grace will be enough. Whenever you stumble, my hand will lift you again. Whenever your heart begins to doubt, return to my presence, and you will always find the peace your soul has been searching for. Now go forward, my beloved. The chapter behind you has fulfilled its purpose. The chapter before you is already being written by my faithful hands. Walk into it with hope. Walk into it with faith. Walk into it knowing that you are deeply loved, completely known, and never alone. I am with you today, tomorrow, and forever. Amen.